What's up, guys? So basically, I wanted to make this video. I made a video 2 weeks ago trying to encapsulate the moment where my mind is in the hopes that in the future I can look back at it and find some clarity. And so in this video, I wanted to do something a little bit different, in which I will be talking about the creative process of when I create videos, when I create paintings, or really anything that I like to create, food, whatever. So, um, yeah, here we go. There's a couple. There's like about 20 questions, but I don't know if I'm gonna do them all. We'll go through them slowly, and hopefully someone else can find value in this. That's kind of the point. Like, I remember I used to watch like Virgil Abloh videos or like Kanye videos, and I used to find a lot of insight on it. So I kind of wanted to share that in my own version. Do you remember the exact moment you realized that creating was part of who you are? Yeah. So I used to read these comic books. I used to love comic books when I was a kid, and one of them was called Captain America. Pause. Captain Underpants. And in the comic book, there was these two kids that would draw their own comics and write it, and then they would sell it to the kids at school. And then basically, I did that with my friend a couple of times, and we gave up really quickly. But it made me realize that I enjoy this. I enjoy making stuff and sharing it, and ideally, monetizing it. So I realized at that moment that creating was essential to me, that it was an integral part of me. Later on, a couple of years later, I started making YouTube videos, and that got me into video and film and stuff like that. But it really started with the comic books. Number two, what role do your childhood or your roots play in how you create today? So every time I make something, usually the most obvious one is painting, because when I paint, I do have these like type of textures that are like reminiscent of comic books. I call it like refined expressionism is like my style, because it's like it has a lot of color, a lot of contrast, and a lot of animation. So in my painting, that's for sure. And then in my videos, I think that that's evolved a lot, because at the end of the day, like the videos reflect where I'm at mentally. When I was a kid, it was more comedic. Then as I got older, it was more cinematic, like more artsy, you can call it. And then after I got into more like self-help motivational kind of thing, and that's where I'm at right now. And I feel like I did have a phase when I was younger, maybe like when I was 20, I'm 29 now, where I was, or maybe like 19, and I was reading a lot of self-help books, and I definitely take inspiration from that. But yeah, that's it. What inspires you to start a new project, an emotion, an image, an idea, or something more invisible? What inspires you to start a new project? What inspires you to start a new project? An emotion, an image, an idea, or something more invisible? So yeah, it is something invisible for sure. Usually it's something that I'm like thinking about and that I want to capture. It does happen also that it's an emotion. It happens pretty often when something like really frustrates me. Usually I'll capture it into a video if I'm like, let's say at the bus stop. But if not, like let's say I'm feeling like frustrated and need to get some energy out, then painting definitely helps me with that. An image, an idea for sure, that goes into the more invisible parts. Part two, the process. How does your creative process begin? Do you have rituals or specific mental state you enter? See, my creative process is pretty interesting, because I don't really like, when I record something or make a painting, I don't do it what I'm thinking in that moment. It's like an accumulation of things. So basically, I'll talk to ChatGPT for weeks about a subject, and then after, it's like the subject is so exhausted and so filtered that I'm able to capture it in a way that's already been processed, rather than like raw emotion. I mean, when I'm making a video, I would say it's closer to that, because I'm just taking the camera and I'm just expressing my frustration in a motivational way. But let's say for the painting, it's more of that. As for cooking, like when I make food, it's like more like, it's just really based on feeling, I guess. How important are silence or solitude in your process? they're actually like the most important part. I personally grow the most when I'm alone. Like I'm not like the type of guy who like I like being around people, but I do find that when I'm around people a little too long, I kind of get static in my mind where I don't have a clear like way of thinking. And so when I'm alone, I usually I'm almost in a meditative state, but I get these like ideas, like I guess you can call it like creative ideas, and then I'll start talking to ChatGPT about it and try to figure out like what does it mean, what is it for, how could I use it. So the alone time is like crucial for me. How do you deal with creative blocks? Do you see them as enemies or a part of the flow? So creative blocks used to happen a lot more like a couple of years ago. Estoy filmando algo. ¿Qué pasa? No, gracias. Tengo un café. Sorry, guys. How do you deal with creative blocks? Do you see them as enemies or part of the flow? So yeah, I used to get a lot more of that, of creative blocks when I was younger. And this is like a very profound question. It seems like a simple question, but it's actually more profound because it comes down to your nervous system. It comes down to what you're allowing yourself to do. It comes down to confidence. It comes down to where you are in life. Oftentimes you'll see that people that are from very wealthy families are able to create very young and very in a flow state. And that's often because they don't have the discomforts of someone who's has different struggles. And so, but that's like talent versus hard work, right? Like, and like in any sport, like hard work is going to be talent. And so that's why you see the biggest or best artists are the ones who came from nothing, because they had to be hungry and they had to transmute their negativity into art. There's the only medium, like for me at least, the only way I can really make something of my frustration, and I've been like really frustrated lately, is like I have to make something of it. Does your art come from inner fire or from calm? That's an interesting question, and it comes from both. I think I have an ability to hold both. Like many people think I'm very passive, when the truth is I'm thinking a lot internally and I'm analyzing things. So I think that like internally I have like a steady fire, but on the outside I look calm. Because the thing is, this is a problem I see in artists, is where they have so much emotion, so much explosivity of creativeness, but they rarely are able to contain it. And so, and then you have the opposite, the people that are too robotic, that aren't able to create or innovate or something like that. And I think that's my ability, is I'm not the most creative. I'm creative, but I'm able to contain it and systemize it and make something of it, ideally monetize it. And that's where I have my books, my content. Like I've been consistently posting, just that, like just posting consistently is extremely difficult to get to that point. What role does discipline play compared to inspiration? That comes down to the same thing. Like you can have a lot of discipline, you can have a lot of inspiration, but at the end of the day, it's a combination of both. So if you're able to translate that, then you're going to do something, I think. Part 3, the vision. When you create, do you think of the audience or only of the truth you want to express? To tell you the truth, I don't think much of the audience, because I'm just trying to put what I'm feeling out there, and if it resonates with people, then that's great. But I don't think about the audience that much. I really just think about what am I trying to express, what am I trying to get out of my system, so that I can like go back to having a regulated nervous system. What do you seek to transmit through your work? Beauty, truth, power, peace? I mean, all of the above, but ultimately I just want to be like authentic. I think like it might like, the thing is, it became like a cliche word. It became an inauthentic word, but at the core of it, authenticity is the most, not only the most gratifying, it's the most like I'm not gonna attract the wrong kind of people. Like If you're performing something, you're always going to have to perform. If you're yourself and you can find a crowd, then you have something cool. How do you know when a piece is finished? That's one of the hardest things in the world. Like Da Vinci had this problem where he would like never finish his paintings. He only finished like 30 of them out of like thousands. And so that in itself is something that's rare. And that's what I'm going, like I went back to, like basically that's, I think what I'm capable of doing is like, I'm not the most creative, but I'm able to contain it and systemize it. So when do you know it's finished? Honestly, more likely than not, you're probably gonna fuck something up, and then you're gonna say, "Well, I won't fuck it up even more." Usually, that's what it is. Do you feel that your art is transforming you or revealing you? Both. Because as it reveals me, as I use it as a mirror, I see who I am more clearly. I'm able to change who I am to the core. Part 4, the soul of the creator. What have you learned about yourself through your art? I learned that oftentimes things that I believe about myself have been indoctrinated. They're not necessarily true. It's most people, they project their emotions and it's not their fault. Most people haven't had the tools or haven't taken the time to learn, but I think that if you watching are thinking, are you capable of something? You are. It's just nobody's going to give you that feeling of like, yes, you can, until it's probably too late. Is there pain behind your creativity, or is there pain behind your creativity, or is it more of a celebration? I wouldn't say it's a celebration at all. I think it's purely pain transmuted into art. How does it feel when someone connects deeply with what you've created? So yeah, keyword deeply, because a lot of people connect, and but most people don't connect that deeply. But when you do connect with someone deeply, it's like, wow, that's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool that you were able to do that. But more than that, what's cool about understanding this is that you can talk to other people, other artists, other entrepreneurs, and you can understand that. You can understand that, like, if you ask a good question that you really thought about, they'll value you that much more, and they won't treat you like a fan. They'll treat you like a peer. Um, what does it mean to you to be an artist in this moment in time? So I think we're hitting a wall on like things that mattered for a long time, and things are evolving fast. AI basically has changed things a lot. A couple of years ago, maybe 5 to 10 years ago, being a programmer was absolutely the most valuable thing you could be in the market. But now it's like ChatGPT's, what it does best is write code, and it's good at engineering, and it's good at math, and it's good at science, and it's only going to get better at those things, and it's only going to, and eventually is going to be able to discover things on its own. So it's also able to make art, it's also able to produce it. But one thing about art is like, it's a feeling thing. You have to trust someone. So I think it's actually a major advantage in a world where it's incredibly unstable and things are changing very fast. People are getting fired. The riskiest thing that was a couple of years ago is probably the safest thing you can do, because you guys see it when there's AI content, people hate it. And I don't think they're gonna like it even more. I think they're always gonna hate it and feel betrayed, because it's part of the uncanny valley effect, which is when someone looks at something that looks human but not quite, they automatically don't trust it. It's biological. So I could be wrong, like I just feel that this is so sensitive, it's so nuanced that it just makes sense to me. So yeah. All right, closing, the legacy. If your art could speak, what would it say about you? I think the number one thing would be that I didn't give up. Like I just kept going. That even though everyone thought, or everyone thinks still, that I think I'm above them or above like a regular life, it's not about that. It's just I'm it's like breathing. I'm incapable of conforming to a system that doesn't make sense. If it makes sense, if it's practical, if I worked for OpenAI and I see that they're doing things well, then yeah, no problem. And I think they would like me. But I have a lot of trouble in the workforce or with institutions or governmental institutions, because I just find that like their their inconsideration is like absurd. I don't know. This is a topic that I have to look more deeply into. But as for now, I'll leave it at that. What do you want people to remember after seeing or hearing your work? That they can do it, that they're capable of doing it, despite what the world wants you to think. How do you imagine your creative evolution in the coming years? So, like this past year has been, it's like, yeah, it's been like one setback after another. So, I've been able to use that raw frustration and translate it into content. And it's allowed me to go viral and meet people and stuff like that. But I'm interested in seeing when things aren't as frustrating, when things flow more easily to me, where my inspiration is going to come from. I guess it'll come from the good, not from the negative. And hopefully it'll be that much more powerful. But as for now, I think that I'm like in a combustion chamber, and I got to use that pressure to propel myself forward. In the future, who knows? We'll see. Do you believe art can heal? If so, how does it heal you? Absolutely. I've had messages from people tell me that they're going through the worst thing ever, that they don't know if they can keep going, and then they saw the video that I made and that it changed their opinion. And that's happened to me too. That's actually why I started these types of videos, because I felt like that a long time ago. And so that's ultimately the goal of this whole thing, is to help people and guide people that need it. So yes, absolutely, I do think that art can heal. How does it heal me? Well, that's it. I take my negative energies, transmute it, put it into videos, and then alchemize it, turn it into something that potentially can help others. So that's it. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll come up with new videos soon, because I actually enjoy this, like answering questions from ChatGPT. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave some in the comments and I'll get to them later.